Dobry večer, tutaj William. Witajcie na tygodniowym podsumowaniu polskich i irlandzkich wiadomości ze mną, William Murphy. We're joined this evening on Hello Irlandia by Ája Horáčková, who's speaking with us from one of Poland's southern neighbours and fellow Visegrád Group member, the Czech Republic. The Visegrád Group, for listeners who may not be familiar, is an alliance of 4 all formerly Eastern Bloc states now in the European Union, comprising the Czech Republic, Hungary, Poland and Slovakia. It aims to further cultural, economic, political and military cooperation between its members, and is named after the Hungarian town where the signing ceremony for the bloc took place on the 15th of February 1991. Ája is a graduate fellow in media and communications and works as an assistant film producer and yoga lecturer in both Germany and the Czech Republic. In the interest of full disclosure, she also showed me around the beautiful Czech town of Kutná Hora, as well as Karlstein Castle last year. I would highly recommend both, by the way. Ája, thank you so much for speaking with Hello Irlandia from Prague this evening. I know, of course, there are very close connections between Poland and the Czech Republic, and we also have many Czech nationals resident in Ireland.
Cześć. Dzień dobry. I'm very, very happy to talk to you again. I'm very happy that I can share something about the Czech Republic, the neighbor of Poland. I have a lot of Polish friends in here, so there are a lot living in here as well, many being half Czech, half Polish, or Polish friends living in here. So very happy talking to you and sharing something.
Actually, one of the nicest things I've seen during the COVID-19 restrictions was at a border crossing. There were signs up on both sides. I don't know who started it first, but the Czechs had a sign up saying, "Miss you Poles, love you Poles," and the Poles had a sign saying the opposite. Some nice greetings on the border between the two countries.
There were many really touching stories because we could not visit each other, but the borders were closed quite soon. And the empathy and the love people were showing each other across the borders. It was truly very, very lovely. And Czechs were sharing that in Czech and Polish, so both countries can understand. It showed really that we care and we want to reunite again soon.
Our listeners will already be familiar with the impact of COVID-19 and the associated restrictions on economic and social life in Poland and Ireland. How has the Czech Republic fared to date? I understand the state of emergency was declared, which has just been lifted on the 17th of May, and quite severe restrictions were imposed early.
Very right. So the first case in here in the Czech Republic, it was on the 1st of March, and the person, they came here most probably from Italy. The situation in here was quite different in the sense that the Czech government proposed really severe restrictions. Even though we had no medical supplies or very limited medical supplies, and the result was when the government said that everybody is supposed to wear masks or protect themselves somehow, people basically sewed their own masks. And whether I leave it behind, like whether that was a good idea, whether that was not a good idea, Czech Republic or Czechia, if you want, it is currently doing pretty well, if I can say so. We have over 7,000 cases, which we are probably at like 50th place. We're doing pretty good right now also when it comes to testing, which I'm really grateful for. And the worst areas of cases are right now in the capital in Prague and also in Bohemia, and right now also at the borders with Poland in Silesia.
Yes, indeed. I'm aware that there are concerns over the Czech mining sector with the outbreak in the Silesian Darkov, I believe it is, coal mine, which has had to close when over 200 workers tested positive for COVID-19. Indeed, Poland, I know, has experienced similar issues on its side of the border in the Silesian mines there also.
Yes, you're really well informed. Those mines are close to the city of Katowice. They're both on the Polish and the Czech side. It's, as you said, the city of Darkov. And right now there are over 270 confirmed cases of people who do have the COVID-19. However, they're being tested right now. And there's a second wave of people being tested because it's not only Czech people working there, but also people from Poland and Slovakia. We call them the pendlers. the people who actually come to the Czech Republic to work, actually only they do not live there, but they come there to work. And there's still the tendency to find the person zero, the patient zero. The tendency is still there, even though it is merely impossible, because 2 months ago there was the first case, but the tendency is still there. And even though in the Czech Republic as a whole, all the measures are right now being eased, in that area in Silesia, in Darkov, it is possible that the aerial state of emergency will be imposed.
As you were saying, the Czech Republic was one of the first countries to ease restrictions, with very many being lifted on May the 11th, which I believe was ahead of the original schedule. How has the easing of restrictions in general gone so far?
Well, as students couldn't go to school right now, and all the education, it moved towards an online teaching. Right now, the people or the students in the first grade and those ones having secondary school leaving exams, they're right now attending schools on an everyday basis. The restaurants with the seatings outside, they're open right now, so you can enjoy your beer sitting outside, which is really nice. And also, you do not have to wear a mask since this Monday, outside. But you still do have to wear the face mask if you're traveling by a public transportation, or you still have to have it if you're on a place where there are people closer to each other than 2 meters. So it's quite questionable when you are passing around a crowded street. You have to wear a mask, and there's a person sitting next to you in like a restaurant garden, enjoying their beer without the mask. So at some point, it's kind of questionable, but I think there is no good or proper way how to ease those restrictions.
Yes, and I understand that just this week it was announced that it'll be possible for Czechs, Slovaks and Hungarians to travel freely between the 3 countries, provided they return home within 48 hours, I believe. Given the close connections between the Czech Republic and Slovakia in particular, obviously having been formerly part of one country indeed, it must have been very difficult for people wishing to see relatives in each country.
Yeah, you're right. And not only in different country, but also in a close territory or in senior houses. But once you care about the health of your loved ones, you also understand the measures, right? And we have to understand that there's nothing like normality during pandemic. We cannot demand our stereotypes, and thankfully this situation is coming back to normal. And if you look at the map of countries you can actually travel to, right now it would be possible to travel from the Czech Republic to Croatia, crossing Slovakia, Hungary, up to the sea.
Excellent. So you're planning your escape route, basically.
Like that.
So what has the economic impact of COVID-19 been so far in the Czech Republic? The losses to the tourism sector, which I know is especially important in Prague, must be huge.
Well, I'm not an economist, unfortunately or fortunately, but well, if I take a look at the numbers, what the researchers say, or what they basically think, what kind of hints they give us, because we will only know the results, we will only know how much it costs and what it costs at the very end of the crisis. And right now, the media, they are feeding us with the term, the second wave of the COVID-19. So we're actually not sure whether to calculate all those numbers right now. However, the loss of demand in the global transport is estimated by 40% approximately. Then we do have the advertising, the trade, the real estate, which is estimated to drop by 15%. But the worst case, you can guess, it is the tourism, the accommodation and the service, where the drop will be up to 50%. So talking on the economical note, the GDP may decline of more than 5% in the euro area, and in the Czech Republic more than 4%, which if that happens, those are still not the real numbers. This is still the estimation that may be and will be worse than in 2008. And plus, I wanted to add, we cannot forget that the Czech Republic is not a member of the Eurozone, as well as Poland. We do not have zloty, not euro. We do have the Czech crown, and that measure will significantly weaken the Czech crown.
I know that the current Czech government of Andrej Babiš is controversial for various reasons, both domestically and internationally. Babiš has faced street protests in the past, as well as media criticism, especially over alleged conflicts of interest, his own past, and alleged intimidation of opponents. Nonetheless, up until now, he's remained relatively popular, I believe, and within the European Union, the Czech government, perhaps surprisingly, hasn't attracted the level of criticism directed at both Poland and Hungary. How is it perceived as having handled the COVID-19 challenge to date?
It's a relief and hope, solidarity. But I will tell you a joke. A German friend asked how does he feel about the COVID-19, and he said, well, people are not afraid because the government will take care of everything. And the Czech person answers, here it's the opposite. The Czech government is not afraid because the people will take care of everything. So on one side, it's an uplifting feeling. I always try to look at the situation from the optimistic point of view, and especially seeing this young generation being proactive, actively sewing face masks, delivering medical supplies, or if they cannot, cooking for healthcare workers. So to me, I do not want to trivialize the severity of this COVID-19, but right now, I do feel a solidarity, I would say.
So there's been a good community spirit in the Czech Republic in terms of people helping each other, as there has been, I think, in Ireland and many other countries as well. So would you like to update our listeners briefly on the current political situation in the Czech Republic in general? How is the Babiš government faring COVID-19 apart?
As you said very precisely, he is incredibly controversial person. And he's basically dividing the society up to two. The first, they hate them. The second, they love them. And here there is this magical line of 30% of population being in favor of someone. And he basically overcame this magical level. Right now he has the support of 35%, which is not a unique sign here in Europe, or even in the world. Also, Angela Merkel, her popularity skyrocketed up to 80%. Something similar happened in here as well. Babiš's supporters are right now more in favor of him, or he has more supporters. And we will see at the very end of the crisis. I think right now it's too early to say.
So in the short term, has the crisis actually increased his popularity? Yes. Given that, that's been the case in many countries, I think, whereby in the initial reaction to COVID-19, it's provided a fillip in support to various governments around the world.
Yes.
So on a slightly lighter note, though nonetheless a very important one, do you have any recommendations for how our listeners can best use any extra free time they may have in the current circumstances? How do we, and I include myself in this, shake ourselves out of any new lazy habits we've acquired?
So I would suggest, if we cannot go outside, let's go inside. Let's go inwards, meaning that this situation is literally gifting us an opportunity to look inwards, to again reconnect with ourselves. There are many people who are trying techniques they never thought they will be able to try, or they will have time to try. They are really amazing mindfulness techniques. And as a yoga teacher, I will of course recommend you to try meditation, to try different understandings of various yoga teachers, to give it another try if you maybe tried before and didn't like it. There are many different ways, and to not go outside, but truly reconnect with ourselves, listen to our own body, own needs, and somehow use this time for our own growth. That would be my advice, I guess.
So can yoga help, especially with your mental health? As I know, even apart from COVID-19 health concerns, many people are worried about their economic future.
That is true. From the yoga point of view, I would definitely suggest to people to try so. And I will reply to you by words by my favorite economist, Tomáš Sedláček, and he sees this current situation as the merging of world stories, which found themselves for the first time in history in the same story. And it's up to us if we reset the old economical systems, if we reset the old system, basically, of any general systems, or if we will continue in the same name, or if we basically manage to look at the situation to reset it in the sign of togetherness, possibly European togetherness.
So I think that's a very positive message on which to end. In terms of whatever the current situation is, we should seek to use it to our advantage, not just as individuals, but indeed as communities and as societies. So I think that's a particularly lovely thought on which to end with, Ája. Thank you once again, Ája, for taking the time to speak with Hello Irlandia tonight.
Dziękuję bardzo.
Tá wszystko na czym chidzin. Zapraszam na kolejny, choć sam wanie, sa chidzin o te same proże. Dobranoc.